sample chopping and sample editing and resample on the Akai Force 3.5. Let me say it again. Sample editing, sample chopping, and resample on the Akai Force 3.5. Better yet, I'm just going to have the samples chopped already. Do some magic. Samples chopped. We're going to get into sample editing, playing samples with no click track. And what's the best way to record it? Is it resample in the Akai Force 3.5? Let's get it, man. So right now I have a bunch of soul samples, a bunch of different samples already chopped up. You know how the algorithm is. It'll definitely try to get you if I was to chop it on camera. So I pre-chopped everything. Everything's pre-chopped. I'm sorry, guys. I had to pre-chop it. It's already ready, though. Like a Little Caesar's pizza. It's already ready. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spend some time and just show you how to get more out of your samples. Two of the things that I like to use is I go to the drum effects. Once you put your sample on a drum program and it turns from being, once you chop it, you process it to a sample chops, it is now on a drum program. It might look like a sample program, but it's a drum program. What does that mean? That means you have access to all of your drum effects now. So for each sample that you have chopped, you have 10 effects already lined out. You have the ability to put 4 effects per pad. You have LFO, all of these different options now just for your sample. You don't have to just let them play together. So I hear people say all the time, the MPC or the Force has this super clean sound. Well, you could dirty it up if you wanted to. You could do whatever you want, and you could do it on a sample by sample basis. So today, that's what I'm going to show you. That's what we're working with. We're not loading any drums. We're not loading any plugins. This is for you if you have just the Force and you're trying to chop up some music or try to do something. This is going to help you. Let me get into this intro though. What's going on, guys? It's your brother O.T.G, Charles Paris. Real name, no gimmicks. That's me, man. And I'm here with the Akai Force. I'm hardly seen, but I'm always around. And today we got the Akai Force, and we are just editing samples, talking about sample programs or drum programs, drum effects. And I'm going to show you the best way, in my opinion, to record samples is, let's say you have a bunch of good chops and you want to just play it out on the pads and you don't want to find the BPM. You don't want to go through the grid edit and edit each one, because if one note is off, you have to move all the notes over. It gets a little messy. I'm going to show you. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you check out the notification bell. And oh yeah, guys, I got that Force Masterclass up there for you. I got it started. We got about 5 videos in there right now, 5 videos from the channel. I'll start adding videos every time I make a video. It comes with the whole stimulus pack in there. So you get all kinds of drums, all kinds of progressions, all kinds of expansions, everything to beef up your Akai Force and to kind of get it on the level that I'm on. Yours might be better than mine. I'm not saying that. But you can tap into that. You have full access to all of these videos. You can download them to your phone. You can stop, pause, no commercials, no nothing. And it's lifetime updates. The link is in the description. If you don't want to do that, you can just check out the O.T.G MPC stimulus pack. You can pump up your Akai Force or your MPC with all kinds of new stuff. All right, now that we got all that out of the way, yes, that's how you support the channel. If you find any information that I'm giving you good, just go support that. I'm working on the Patreon where all of my videos will just be, and maybe on the Patreon I'll put projects specifically. I'm building it out, man. We got a great community over here. Now, let's get focused to what we came to do. So I have this sample chopped up, and right now what I'm doing is I'm auditioning it. I went through, I added a little bit of soft clipper, I added a whole lot of bass, because I'm not going to add any drums or do anything to it. What I'm going to do is I kind of want it to clip, just because I want to show you guys you could push it to the limit for you guys who like to clip out your samples, you know. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, you could record it to a clip, but what you want to do is turn your metronome off, because you're not going to be playing at any BPM, right? So right now, we're just going to play the pads. And when you do this, it's all about your timing. You know, I might spend hours and hours and hours just trying to get the timing together. And then when you guys see the videos, you're like, oh, it was only 30 seconds. Man, it might have took a lot of hours to get those 2 pieces or 4 pieces to play together, or to try to get them together. But today I'm going to show you some secret sauce. I don't feel like I've ever seen anybody make a video on this, on the MPC or the Force. So I'm going to show you. I don't think people are brave enough to do it, but I'm going to show you. Be brave. Be brave. We have strong machines, and the Force is with us, you know. May the Force be with you, young Jedi. You could do it. So right now, what I'm doing is I am recording in these pieces. And the crazy thing about when you're doing samples like this is, in your mind, you always feel like everything is right. You know what I mean? So when you're playing it on the pads, you're like, oh man, I'm killing it. But you might have had some little small gaps or some little small things. You know, you could fix that by time stretching or going in and getting your samples together a little better. For me, I just play along with it. You know, sometimes the cutoff is good, sometimes the cutoff is bad. Sometimes the overlap is good. When I say the overlap, you know, you might play one pad too early, and then, you know, the worst case scenario is playing a pad too late and you have a pause. And I'll show you how you could go and edit that out. You could do it in the sample editor, you know. And I think today is probably my first time that I'm going to show you how to do this. But it's something that I love about the MPC standalone, is because they do have a powerful sample editor, and you don't have to really dig into all the specifics of it in order to get the basics done. Hopefully that makes sense. You know, it makes sense to me. So right now, I'm still recording this in. Now we're going to stop. Boom. As soon as I stop, it's going to autoplay, because that's what the clips do. Now, when we go look at this clip, you can see. So, you see all of these, all of the slices on the left-hand side. If I zoom in, I could watch and I could see. So you can see nothing is on the grid. And so far, it's playing good together. If I want now, I could go in, I could add effects. You know, we can start to pump up the channel. We could, that track, we could duplicate that and add a filter on if we wanted to. But that's all later on down the line. Let's just stick to the basics. So right now, you know, we're adding a EQ. We're doing some things. Wow, it's so amazing. We got everything lined up, and we have a clip for it. Oh no, something played off. What are we going to do now? This is where it gets tricky. is if I move this one sample. So one, if I press stop, I try to zoom to the place that I was at. I press shift and play. Because it's a clip, it's not the arrangement. It's going to keep starting from the beginning. That's problem number one. So now we we moving the pad, we moving the knob. We trying to get back to where we was at. Shift and play. Oh no, it starts over. Oh my goodness, what are we gonna do? This could be annoying enough to make you stop. You know what I mean? But what you should do is switch over to clip view and problem solve. So I know where I'm trying to fix is at 20. So around 20 to 22. So what I could do to get this right is move the start. So now when we press play, we're starting right before the part that we need to fix. So we're going to add the part that plays, right? But then this note right here is off. See, we got the small blank spot. Now, the way that you would try to fix that is you would go to edit, boom. You would select your box or your select tool. But here's the thing. You have to move all of those notes. All of the notes after, you got to move if you want to nudge that one note over. It's a chain reaction. So if I move that one note, all of the notes are going to be off now. The following note is probably going to have a blank spot. Then if I nudge that one, the following note after that would. Then so on, so forth. You know, and trying to zoom and get all of the notes at one time is a little bit difficult. I don't know if that's a bug or not a bug. But what we need to do is, for me, I don't like this. Let me just say it that way. I don't like this method. While it works, I definitely have used this method before, and it just depends on how much I really like the sample that I'm playing. If I feel like I'm on my Conductor Williams, no drums, and this one's going up, it's going to be the one. Jay-Z's going to hear this, and he's going to rap over it. Nas is going to hear it, and this is going to take us to the next level. Then I definitely might spend the hour of just going note by note, nudge by nudge. Or I might nudge a whole section and then come and nudge the next section. You know, that's the problem solving. But there's another way that you can get this done. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you check out everything in the description. Force Masterclass is up. Right now, it's only one level. Only one level. It's going to be $25. That's because instead of the MPC Masterclass, where it didn't come with all of the stuff right out of the gate, I'm sweetening the deal with adding a bunch of drum packs and drum sounds all at one time. And over time, these videos, there's going to be so many videos for you to choose from. Any scenario that you think you could be in, I'll have a video to cover it for the most part. Alright? So now we have another sample. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to show you what this workflow looks like. So you can hear how it originally sounds, and I played it from the ST. So now I'm going to go to the soft clip. I'm going to go to bass. You can see how it sounds with a bunch of bass. You can see how it sounds. You heard it with none. We're going to add just a little bit of soft clipper. Just a little bit. I'm going to reduce some of that bass, and then I'm going to go to the next pad. So remember, like I said earlier, when the samples are chopped and you process it, you're processing it to a drum program. Once in the drum program, all you have to do is hit edit and whatever sound is on the pad. Once you hit edit and whatever sound's on the pad, it will take you to track edit. Once you get into track edit, each pad has pad effects. pad effects, sample, LFO, all kinds of things for you to boost out each and every pad. So you could put a low filter on this pad. You could add tube drive. You could add bass. Right now, I'm just doing the two simple things to get you introduced into really pushing the Force or your MPC to the next level, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm looking for my next section, right? Which pad do I want to go to? Do I want to go from this pad to this pad, or that pad to another pad? Mind you as well, this sample I've already pitched up. I've already done the pitch work. And the reasoning being because I want to see if I can even get away with putting this up without getting a channel strike. I think I can. You know, not like we trying to duck the YouTube. It's not like we're trying to steal people's music or do something like that, but man, we utilize these machines, and YouTube is a place for tutorials. And you know, unless you guys like, share, comment, and send this to everybody on the Force, you know, Akai doesn't come through. I feel like as many people as I've taught with the MPC videos, they don't ever even acknowledge that we exist, and that's okay. YouTube pushes my videos out, but not too much, you know what I mean, based on other stuff that is, you know, just based on other things. So I don't ever even think my videos are going to get 10,000 views. I hope that they will one day, but I know that the views that I get come from people who are looking and wanting to watch what I'm doing. And so I think that it's only fair that YouTube would allow me to show these things and help people, because it's just my way of showing tutorials, and this exists in the culture. In the culture of hip-hop, sampling is extremely important. And the 5 or 6 sampling methods that they show you, there's a whole nother method of sampling that exists. We never get into Midwest sampling. I do know that I live on the East Coast, but I'm from the Midwest. 30 plus years. I learned how to make beats. I learned how to sample. I got my first drum machines. Everything I got is from the Midwest. We choose different samples. We loop them differently. We go about all of it differently. People love Conductor. People love J Dilla. People love No ID. I consider myself from that school of the greats. You know, that regional sound of the greats. And at this point, I want to show people. I have 2 daughters that are slowly growing older. I don't know how life is going to be, but I would love them to be able to inherit these machines. And if they didn't listen to their dad in all these years of being in the studio, maybe they'll listen if they come across the YouTube channel, you know? So this is all small talk while we chop the samples up, because you gotta audition. You wanna make sure that what you're doing plays well. You understand? You wanna have an idea of what you're doing for what I'm about to show you. Alright? I want you guys to see how small these samples are, how small these loops are. They're about 2 bars. And I like doing it this way. So I like having 2-bar loops, because now you can really switch in between different parts depending on how many samples you have. A lot of times what I realize people have a problem with is they make their loops too long. You know, and I know what other guys from other places say. So cool. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this. This is my method. So I'm not really, please don't come in the comments telling me what Bob, Jim, and Joe say. Okay? This is what Charles says. This is what O.T.G says. I got 20 plus years doing this. Just let me be myself without putting me in the box with other people, right? So I like to chop my samples this way. You can see some of them are shorter than 2 bars. You can visually see that they're shorter. But this is where your timing comes in. So again, a lot of the stuff I show on my channel, we quantize, and then we physically go and move off the grid. If we are talking straight sampling, if you want to make some of these beats and you want to keep the original sound or the original feel, you're on your Ghostface time, you're on your West Side Gun type time, where you're trying to just loop it up and let them go crazy over the sample. You can now have sample chops that aren't perfect. You don't need perfect loops. Are perfect loops easier? Yes. But will that make your sample sound a little stiff? Yes. What you can do is you can play it. And once you get it played, and you come up with a loose arrangement of how you're going to play these things, then what you do now is you could resample. It's funny because when we think of resampling, we think of resampling something that is already recorded and played. So, you might have your part already done. You might have laid it down. You may have done X, Y, and Z. And so now you want to resample to get a perfect loop. You know what I mean? You might want to resample your bass line, and let's say you have too many effects. You have too many plugins. So you might solo your piano plug and resample it in. So then that way you could delete the piano plug and free up resources to move forward, right? So let's go to resample. I could resample the left, the right, or both. What I'm going to do is I'm going to resample both. I'm going to arm it. And now I'm going to play the sample in real time. If I mess up, we got to start over. So that's the whole kick with this. And I like to try to go long time. So I tried to go edit and look at the screen and see if I could see the sample so I could watch it, but you can't. When you're in resample mode, you have to stay on the screen. There is no way to go see the sample preview if you're playing it in live. So, audition. I'm going to do it, and whatever cuts I get, if I cut something a little short, or if, the sample comes in a little early, we just going to deal with it, And you may have to do it 5 or 6 times. For video purposes, I'm not going to do it 5 or 6 times. I'm going to show you on 3 different samples how to do it. And then we're going to look at, I'm going to show you how to take those samples and assign it to another drum program, so then that way you can go in and edit the full beats. Again, this is the plus of having this streaming. And shout out to the guy in the comments who said he can confirm that the processor and the Force and the live O.G live are the same, and they're faster than the processors in the other machines. You'll have to find that in the comments and talk to him. Bro, if you watch this video, put your name in the comments or say something. For all those people who want to have a conversation with you, maybe you have a YouTube channel and you could show that on your channel. Let us over here build our own community. Once I know who you are, I'll shout you out and people can go mess with you and watch you show all about that processing. I'm not the guy to do that. I just know that it feels snappier and more responsive with 3.5. So you see now, here's our beat. Yep, we could call this a beat now. That's everything that played in. You can see the waveform, but there's a pause in there. There is a pause in there. And so how are we going to take that pause out? A lot of times people will say, I'll get on I'll put it on Ableton, I'll take it and edit it on the computer. No, you could do it right there. So what you want to do is move your start point. Now, the only kind of irritating thing is you could lose your place. So what you should do is remember where the bars and beats are that you were at. So see, there it is. And so you should zoom. Use your different Q-link knobs to get right to the end as far as you can. And now, sorry about that. My sinuses, it's raining here in Philly. You know, it's super late. It's like 4:30 in the morning. You know, the new studio, we don't have no wall. Like, we have walls, but I'll tell you after this. So let's zoom in. We're going to go to the end point right there, the part that we want to get out of there. If I zoom out, now we could be lost. And I don't want to move my start. So what I want to do is find my end, and now I'm going to use my finger. You could use the knob, but let's use our finger and get in there because we want to make this small edit. Now, you don't want to press discard because if you press discard, you're just going to be stuck with the selected part. So what you want to do is go over and delete. You want to delete that part. Now it's gone. So remember what I showed you earlier. If we played that same sample and we had it lined up on the grid, think about how much time it would take to go and take those blank spots out and get it to match. Well, if we just play it out and resample, what we could do now is go in there, use this like a true sample editor it is, and go trim, cut, and get rid of all the parts that we don't want, and kind of sandwich it together, you know, turn into surgeons and slice it together. And that is another one of the strong points of the MPC, you know, or this the Force. I gotta stop calling the Force the MPC. Sorry guys, it's just I gotta do better with that. So I wish that we could double tap our place on the screen and kind of select it, but I do think that we would probably make a lot of mistakes. Sometimes I feel like companies don't put stuff in there that makes sense for a reason. Sounds crazy to say, right? But sometimes I feel like because of user error and certain things, if you double tap it, the majority of people will be like, I hate the fact that you could double tap the screen and drop your play marker there. And maybe you can. You guys let me know. You know, I don't swear to know everything, but I do know a lot of things about getting songs done. Okay? So now we have that done, right? So let's go to our resample and work on our other sample, right? Why audition this to figure out how I want this to play? So in March, we were planning to go 90 days straight in March. And March 1st, the start of Ramadan. For those who know, I'm Muslim. The start of Ramadan, I came in and the building, we own the building that my studio is in. The building shifted, it's on the hill, shifted on the sewage pipe, and through the where we have I have a fireplace. Underneath the fireplace, you have, you got your little trap door. That's where you could take the ashes and everything out, right? Sewage started coming in through that trap door, and it flooded my whole studio with sewage. I kept having people come in and try to fix it. They couldn't fix it. We ended up having to have Roto-Rooter come, and we had to get everything fixed from the building to the street. That's our responsibility. And the cleanup, it flooded the whole basement. The whole area of where this setup is. And now we had to get the wall stripped. Everything up to 5 feet had to come out for health reasons. And so now we're rebuilding in this space. And because I own the building and I have multiple things in here, insurance would not cover it. So I'm covering it myself. So it's extremely, right now when it rains, it's a little bit cold in here. We're slowly building it out. And that's where you guys come in, and the channel comes in, and community comes in, and I'm thankful for you guys because we're slowly building it out. And I've decided to build this into a media space where I can really go in depth and really show you guys some cool stuff. You know what I mean? We lost a lot of equipment, but it's all good. I still have what matters. They're upgrading some things, and I can't wait to show you guys. The sound has been better. It's a blessing. The video is better. Sometimes when things happen, you gotta take it as a blessing and not as the worst thing in the world, even though it feels worse. It threw my whole year off. I did not plan to pay this much out of pocket, but I'm thankful for all of the work that I've done in my life to be able to have the money saved, to be able to pay for it out of pocket, right? And it brings us back to the music, because selling cars and music and managing artists is the only thing that I've done in most of my adult life, and I'm 45. So now we have our other sample done. It's just some small talk while I play the sample out. You guys know you got to audition. You got to practice. I don't even know what the BPM of these songs are. We're not trying to look for them. We're just trying to piece these parts together to make our own beats from our chops. So now, if I go and look, we scroll over, we have this is our other song, our other beat. So you can see that Resample is a better way to do all of it. Then Resample will tell you the BPM that you're playing at. So you can see it says 80.21 is the BPM that we're playing at. Remember I told you that prior, these were already ready like Little Caesar's Pizza. So prior, I did everything on the Roland SP404. That's where I recorded these samples in. That's where I pitched them up. That's where I added some EQ. That's where I added a little bit of effects. But then, we still wanted them, for lack of a better term, I still wanted them naked, kind of, right? So I could edit them and do a lot of the effects building inside of the Force. So what we did is once we got them chopped into sample program, we went into the track edit screen and we started to add drum effects per pad. So you don't have to do it on every pad. And we could have selected all the pads and did those small effects for, you know, those things we changed. I could have did it one time and it would have affected all the pads. But here's another tip for you. I don't like to do that because I like to have, this creates the differences in the sample chops. Follow me? So one might be at, the volume might be, you know, soft clipper 1.21. Another might be soft clipper 1.0. One might be bass 6.52. Another one might be 5.52. And so all of these things, when we're taking this original beat, we are now turning it into our own beat and kind of having BPM changes and other changes going on that give it feeling. You get what I'm saying? So now what I'm doing is I'm assigning it. I had a drum program already loaded. You know, that's what you want to do, is you want to just have an empty drum program. Excuse me, I probably should have said that earlier. You want to have an empty drum program already loaded. That's what I have. It is track 5. And as you make these beats, you resample them. What you want to do now is assign them to pad 1. So our first one is on pad 1. Our second one is on pad 2. And now we have one more sample. I want to show you again. Because you guys, it's a community. It's definitely a community. So what we're doing now is we are auditioning. We're finding the samples that we want to use, that we're going to play together. 3 times is a charm. You got to say it 3 times and it sticks. We are auditioning, so I'm showing you 3 times. We hit edit, it hit the pad, boom. We hit the last tab, we go to drum effects. I'm adding some bass and soft clipper. And so you can hear how it sounds. Remember with the soft clipper, what we could do is, if you like the sound that the soft clipper gets you, always remember you have your gain knob underneath, which is almost like a trim. You know, that's knob 8. That's like a trim. So, you know, if you watched the last video, remember what I told you about sometimes you might have to work through. Like, I hear a little bit of distortion, I hear a little bit of the clipping, I hear a little bit of the stuff. But the goal is we want to work efficiently and smartly, right? So what I'm trying to do is I need these samples laid out because I want to go and resample them. Once I resample them, however they sound is how they're going to sound, and I like the uniqueness of that. But what we could do now is once we have it on a drum effect, we could go in, add a filter, mess with the EQ, add different effects. We could clone the drum track, have 2 drum tracks only, and then go in there and make one with a filter on it, specifically one lot of ways that you could double this and get yourself a specific sample. You know, we can, once we have this done and export it, resampled and export it to Drum Program 3 on Pad 3, we can now go in and if I wanted, I could add Air Flavor Pro and all this other stuff. In today's video, I might show you how to just add an effect, but I'm not going to go that in depth. This right now is just to get you familiar and show you in real time how this works, right? So right now, here's sample 3, we're recording it right now. Now that we got this in, I wanted you guys just to kind of hear it in real time. And, you know, I want you to know that it takes practice, just how when I show people how to play the mutes. It takes practice. You got to put some hours in on your machine. You got to put hours in on your machine. You know, I'm sorry, again, I got to keep saying it. I'm sorry to you guys whose workflows introduce bugs and different problems. Like sometimes I'm running the brick roads and maybe brick walls and maybe they're bugs. But for me, the most important thing in my workflow is to get the ideas out. I need to get the music out. It makes me feel better every day. I need to get the thoughts done. I need to get it done. So I can sympathize if in the way that you create, you're not getting your ideas done. And I'm sorry for you, and I hope Akai gets it. But I hope that maybe you could find some workflow hacks and different things from seeing my workflow that will help you get your ideas out. You know, you guys saw early on trying to record that, it was all choppy and weird trying to do it with the grid. But what's never choppy and weird is the old school method. I tell you guys that all the time. I rarely MIDI sync my gear because I come from the old school days of we just record the audio in and then we edit the audio. So this right here is an old school method of we're just going to deal with audio only. Why? Because MIDI could be a little strange sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And it's cool, but also MIDI sometimes creates double the work. Maybe you just gotta get your practice up. Alright, so now we have this on our drum program, okay? And now here's what I was saying to you earlier. I could easily go just add an EQ to the whole drum program, but we have 3 other samples there, 3 whole other beats. That makes no sense. So let's delete that. And I also want to show you this is how you could get into setting up some very extravagant sets. This is also how you can record full songs on your MPC in just one drum program. Yep, you heard what I said. You could definitely have one beat on pad 1, record 8 audio tracks, get them the way you want them, and send them to 8 pads on drum program 3, and just keep editing and going and have a full entire song in one drum program. Then you could go to another drum program and do the same thing. And now you might have 3 full songs on your Force with no BPM, none of that extra stuff, just straight audio. So hopefully you guys find some value in this. Right now I am adding the EQ directly to the pad right? And then we have the ability to add the soft clipper. We have the ability to add bass. We have the ability to use our filters. You know, now you got to think strategically. If I have 10 effects already, now whatever effects I put on my 4 inserts, I could use a certain way. Whatever I have on my send channel, those are specific for everything. So now we're getting super in depth. You can have 14, 18 different effects happening on one pad. 8 of those effects will be the same across all pads, but 10 of those effects can change on a pad by pad basis. You following what I'm saying? Or 14 of those effects can change on a pad by pad basis. Whatever you have on the send effect is that way. Whatever you have on the master channel will affect all of it. Sends and masters will affect all of the beat. The master will affect all of it. The send will affect anything you put on the send. But you have 4 inserts, 10 drum effects for what you could do for every sample. Resample is the method if you have sample chops and you want to just play them and connect them. That's my 2 cents. I showed you the other way. I showed you how you could use your sample editor. I showed you how to assign it to a pad. And now we can unlock and move to the next level with the things that I've showed you. Hopefully you found some value. Check out that Akai Force Masterclass. Check out the MPC Stimmy Pack. If you want to donate, O.G. Cash App, $OG, and we got another one. I like this one. Big O.T.G. I'm out.